I am sharing a layout using the beautiful Home Sewn kit by Color Rush Studios. I am also playing with, I believe, Sketch 21 today on this layout because I am still attempting to get as many sketches done with Follow a Sketch February as I can. Now here I grabbed this gorgeous paper and it had strips and they were separated by little dotted lines. And so I decided to cut them apart, and then I'm like kind of loosely fussy cutting around them, just leaving a very small edge around the florals on both sides. Didn't make you watch me do that with all 5 of those, but that is what I had went ahead and fussy cut around that. Now I'm pulling out the frazzles and ribbons. Again, I will constantly say this. I love the frazzles and ribbons. They are so awesome. One of my favorite parts of the kits. I always love to see what the new ones are in the new kits and everything else. So the sketch, you can find it on the Facebook page, or I'll share it with my layout and everything. But there is a line down the center and it looks like it's supposed to be paper, but I used ribbon and I'm okay with that. Here I pulled out some cardstock from my stash, just to give a little separation between these, because honestly, if I was going to keep it the way I just had it, I might as well have just cut a portion of the paper and stuck it down. But I wanted them to be able to lift up off the page. So what you'll see me do here is I'm going to go ahead and run some tape along this, rotate, and put it on the page. I won't do this like this for every one of them. But, and then I'm going to just put it down the center of the pattern paper and put it on the layout. This way I can lift it up on either end if I decide I want to, and stuff like that. So I'm going to continue to go through and do that with every single one of these. I think actually I'm going to put the back on this one again, and I'm going to turn around and just start attaching them together, and then just use the adhesive on the back of the yellow one and adhere it down. They get moved. Thankfully, I don't use a lot of pressure when I'm putting these down on the layout. At least not where the adhesive is, thankfully, because I do go to rough up the edges, but since the adhesive is more so towards the center, I don't really add enough pressure for it to do much of anything except for the very bottom one, which you'll see in just a minute. But yeah, I continue to go ahead and adhere these down. I wasn't paying attention because, of course, I have, a movie going on my computer while I'm sitting here scrapbooking. And so I don't pay attention to how I'm putting them down. And I realize here in a minute that I put them too close for my liking because I want it to cover up more of the layout than what it is. So you'll see that after this one. I can't believe I did that. I need to pay attention better. But I think all of us do that every once in a while, and it's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one down. And then I put the photos up there and I'm like, oh, it's not covering enough. So I'm going to try to peel them off. And I do great until the one before the very last one. And you'll see that I ripped the paper here. And so I move it up a little bit so there's more of the floral showing in between, me adding the other one down. And then I'm going to add some glue in as well since I had pulled these up. Just as a precaution, just to make sure that they stay down. And this is the last one, and I'll rotate my my layout. Words are hard sometimes. I do this constantly. I mess my words up and I farble everywhere. I'm going to grab another piece, this cute little one here. I can't remember what it's called, but this one from the frazzles and ribbons, I love it. It's just too cute. And I decided, since there's some florals in here that are that color, I'm just going to add it at the top for another touch. On the sketch, it shows a scallop, I think, up there. But I didn't want to do that. I like this, and this is close enough to a scallop too. So, and I also rotated it. I'm not using the sketch in the orientation it was originally put in. Nothing new there. I do that all the time. So, here, I'm going to go ahead, and I thought I was going to use tape, and I'm sitting here in a second, I pull it off, like, what was I thinking? I don't need to, especially for what I'm actually going to end up doing with it. So I just add some glue on the backside and tack it down with some washi tape. I do that a lot. That is nothing new either. And I'm going to do it to the other end as well. Tack it down with some washi tape so I can keep going with what I want to do. Here, I'll start laying my photos back down on the layout. I actually don't do like solid paper layers behind this. I mean, if that makes sense. I don't do whole layers behind this of paper. I do bits and pieces because this kit, of course, has beautiful things that you can fussy cut because there is a whole sheet of frames and I love them. And that is what I am fussy cutting out right now because I was like, hey, I can use those as embellishments. So I went ahead and started fussy cutting some of those out. I cut, like the first thing I do when I go to cutting them is I'll cut the things that are closest to the edge. So I'm cutting the partial frames out right now because, hey, I can still use those too. I don't have to use just the whole frames. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these ones out and I will add them down underneath different sides of my photos. Here is a larger one and I'm going to stick it over on the left-hand side. And I'm going to start sticking some of the fussy cut flowers. One of the pages has those beautiful flowers all over it, and I fussy cut a ton of them out. I'm pretty sure a lot of people did. And I started sticking some of those down. And I cut another piece of the ribbon, the black and white polka dot off, to tie up there just to, add a little more something to it. And I messed the end up, so I had to snip it a second time. But I got it. And it may not have been much, but it's just what I wanted to do. Here, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do up there at the top right, having another cluster instead of just two. And so I decided I'm going to cut out a couple more frames. I want some larger ones. So I cut this whole frame out this time, and I'll cut one end of it off and then cut the rest of the inside out. And I will place that up to the top right so that I have that, kind of mirrored up there like I have around both sides of the photos. And I am adding some of the fussy cut flowers. And then I'm going to grab some of the embellishments from the ephemera pack. And I'm going to start sticking those in and out of where my embellishments are as well. Here I grab my fun foam from my stash. And I'm going to cut it on my little guillotine cutter there. And stick it to the back of my photo. And adhere it down. This way it has some more dimension. And I can go ahead and start tucking things underneath the sides of my photos and stuff like that as well. So here I'm just tacking everything down at the moment. And I'm going to add some more 3D foam behind that flower. Really, I think I've said this 1,000 times and I'll probably say it 1,000 more. I just like dimension and texture on my layout. So I love that I get to do that with this. And I'm just going to continue. I put 3D foam on the back of one of my smaller photos, and I made sure to use liquid glue on the back of the other one as well, because with the fact that there's more texture and layers here, I wanted to make sure it was going to stick where I wanted it. And then I went ahead and layered back the frames, and I'm going to stick the florals back in there as well. I stuck some more 3D fun foam behind the one down on the right-hand side of the photos, and I'm sticking some up here up to the top right as well, one of them on 3D foam. And then just gluing everything down and adding bits and pieces from the ephemera back in. Once I rotate this, I'll go back through the ephemera and start adding more from that as well to the other two clusters. I'm not wanting to add a ton, but I'm still wanting to add a little more color to those little clusters like I did to the top one. So at the moment, that's what I'm going ahead and doing. Going through and figuring out what it is that I want to do. And I apologize, every once in a while you can hear loud vehicles outside and some weird noises. A house up the street caught on fire the other day, and there's a bunch of vehicles coming in and out because they're gutting the area that caught on fire, and then they are rebuilding. So there's a ton of traffic out front. So I apologize for that. But here I'm just going ahead and going through and sticking these florals in and adding the glue just at the end so that they stick up. And that's what I am doing right here. And then I'm going to clean up a little bit of my mess and some of my area here, because I'm going to pull my alphas out. These are alphas from my stash. I wanted some black alphas, and so that's why I went ahead and pulled these out. Here I'm spelling the word backwards, and I still mess up at, I should have spaced it out further. So I do mess up a little bit here, and I have to move it. Nothing new. I've had to do that multiple times. So I had to move it, and it actually says Shinanigans right now. And then the one up top, the one that I'm fixing to spell, it's going to be Saturday. So it'll be Saturday Shinanigans. because that was the day we went out and we were playing and having fun and just being goofy and didn't have a plan at all and stopped at random parks and went hiking and just had fun. So it was just our Saturday shenanigans. Say that 5 times fast. I messed it up once. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to scratch off little pieces. It was like, I don't know, I guess from where they cut it on the machine, just little bitty pieces that were left, and they wouldn't blow away, so I just picked them up with my tweezers. And here I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. My son, you'll see his hand in a minute, suggested gold splatters, and I am using the one from Brutus Monroe and splattering it. It is a lighter gold. It is not so in your face, and I love that. And I am splattering it around. My son informs me I missed places and that I needed to figure out how to get it in there. So I rotated my layout and I got it in the areas that he said I missed. So that finishes this layout. I really hope that you enjoyed this process. Make sure to like and subscribe so you're notified when I put out more videos, and make sure to check out Color Rush Studio and look at the kits that are offered there as well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!